Hey everyone, welcome. Tutorial Tuesday, another tutorial for you. So for today's tutorial, it's going to be Revolved Half Moon or Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana, right? For me, this is one of my all-time favorite postures. If I could do this in every single practice, boom, I would be one happy customer. But it didn't start off that way. It started off as I didn't really enjoy the pose. I didn't really understand what I was supposed to be feeling, what I was supposed to be doing. And it just wasn't the easiest thing for me because it's not a very easy posture to do. It looks a lot simpler than it actually is. So it'll be helpful to have one block. I'll show you how to set up the way I if I'm teaching this to a beginner, how I would teach this. I use 2 blocks to start. So have a block or 2. I always recommend Revolved Half Moon with a block. I think that it allows for you to find just a little bit of balance, right? It's not a heavy load on the block, a little bit of balance to find the full depth, find your full depth of the posture. So the way I teach this to get set up, right, is I have you grab 2 blocks. I'm gonna have my right leg down for this, right? And I just kind of come into like a supported warrior 3, right? And I'm chest forward, left leg's lifting. Now to start, this is like any one-legged standing balancing posture with the leg extended behind you, is this left hip, right, tends to roll up. This hip's rolling up. And what in a Revolved Half Moon, just like airplane, just like warrior 3, what you're looking for is level hips on top. So I'm gonna spin my left outer hip down and my inner left leg up. So I'm rotating the inner left leg up toward the ceiling as I drop my outer left hip, right? And then the tendency is, because we kind of collapse forward, is this standing leg. So on mine, it's going to be my right leg tends to kind of just collapse forward. So I want to actually pull my right outer hip back. And as you do so, right, you're going to feel this left hip is going to drop even more by pulling that hip back. Right, and then what I see a lot too is people tend to lean too far forward, or they tend to kind of hyperextend back, right, or they go too far back. What you're going to do is, as I set up, right, you're going to come onto your blocks with your fingertips, not your hands. If you come down on your hands, too much weight. Just be up on your fingertips. It's more of like I'm just balancing here. I'm not weight loading my hands, right, and I'm just going to shift weight into the heel, shift weight into the ball of the foot, shift weight into the heel, shift weight into the ball of the foot. We'll do that one more time. Weight into the heel, weight into the ball of the foot. And then I find a happy medium in between where I feel equal weight into the ball of my foot and the heel. If you're not sure what the ball of your foot is, it's your toe mounds right across here, just below your toes on the foot. Right, and then again, this left hip wants to lift. Right? The front of the hip wants to get involved, and we don't want the front of the hip to be involved in this posture, right? To start, because if we lift from the front of the hip, it tends to roll open. So roll that hip back down, right? I might have you take your hand to your sacrum, to your hips, and just make sure, are they level? You can kind of feel, is one hip higher than the other? Make any adjustments you need to get that left hip. The key to being able to twist a little bit deeper is getting the hips level with each other, right? And then what I see a lot of times is people are down here. Reach that chest forward. This way all the muscles along the spine are working. Right? I like to point my foot and spread my toes. It just kind of carries my left leg a little bit further. And then from here, right, I'm going to engage my quad so my leg straightens, and then my left hamstring is going to lift up toward the ceiling. But I'm not rolling the hip open. I'm having it come from the back of the leg, lift the leg up. Right? I want to keep the pelvis neutral. And then from here, I'm going to take my right hand to my right hip. And then I'm just going to roll my rib cage up toward the ceiling. Once I can't rotate the rib cage up toward the ceiling, I'm going to extend my right arm up toward the ceiling. Right, I'm going to try to keep my hips square. And then to go a little bit deeper, right, this is the key, is squeeze your inner thighs as tight as you can. Using that to solidify the base, maybe you're able to twist a little bit deeper. And then slowly come back out. Right, what happens a lot of times is people just use the shoulder to twist. And what I mean by that is they kind of keep the chest parallel, and then they just take the arm and just kind of lift the arm up, and they're trying to twist from the shoulder. What we actually want to twist is, imagine you're in crescent, right? And you're going to stay upright, and you're just going to twist your torso to the right. You're not going to use your arms, right? You're just twisting your torso to the right. Same action in Revolved Half Moon. It's not the arm. We're not twisting with our shoulder, right? We're going to be here. Right, rib cage twists, and then the arm extends. Same thing here, right? So as I come into it, I got both hands on my blocks. I shift my weight back and forth between ball of the foot and the heel, chest forward, right? If my spine is long or my spine is rounded, I'm not strengthening every muscle in my back, right, along the spine. I want to reach my chest forward and a little bit slight of a back bend. My left quad engages. I lift from the back of the leg, the hamstring up, right? If my hip is rolling open, I'm now fighting against that as I twist, right? I have this side trying to roll up and then this side trying to go here, right? By keeping the hips level, we allow just the movement to come from the torso, right? We're not fighting against ourselves, right? This hip lifts, I'm fighting against myself to roll open. This hip stays down, now it's just the torso, right? So I want to level my hips off. Engage my quad as much as I can, spread my toes. And then from the back of the leg, lift the hamstring, right? Chest forward, chest up. Right hand to my right hip, roll the ribs open until they stop. Then once they stop, right arm can then go up toward the ceiling. But I'm not trying to twist myself with my arm. The twist comes from the ribs, right? It comes from the thoracic spine. And then I'm going to squeeze my inner thighs as tight together as I can. And then I'm just going to twist maybe a little bit deeper, but only from the rib cage. And then come all the way back out of it. Right, reasons why I love this pose so much. Right, on this standing leg, right? On the standing leg, we're getting a nice outer hip stretch. We're also getting an outer upper hamstring stretch, right? We might even get into the belly of the hamstring a little bit. On the lifted leg, we're strengthening our glute and our hamstring by lifting from the glute, from the hamstring. Right? Our entire muscles along the spine, right? That posterior chain along the spine, chest forward, is engaging as we lift, right? So the back is strengthening. And then from here, if we twist from the rib cage, right, we're getting into that rotational component. The rotational component to the core is becoming more mobile, more flexible, and stronger. Right, so we're here. And then he gets a nice opening through the shoulder. Right, so that's why I love this pose, right? Challenges the balance. Right, it strengthens the balancing muscles. It lengthens the outer hip, outer hamstring, upper hamstring a little bit. Some of us may feel it down here. On the lifted leg, right? We're getting into the glute, we're getting into the hamstring, we're lifting up. And then from the ribs, we rotate, so the rotational component to our core, right? Our obliques, our lats, our multifidi, all of those things that you don't need to know the names of, right, are working to twist us. And then we're getting a nice opening through the chest. And we're even getting some adduction. We're even getting inner thigh strength by if we squeeze inner thighs in towards each other to maybe twist a little bit deeper. Right, so there's so many things that go into that pose. That's why it's so hard, right? We're balancing on one leg. We're trying to lift the top leg even higher. We're trying to strengthen the back. And then on top of that, we're trying to twist our body, right, in a direction to strengthen and mobilize the core, right? That's why I love this pose. The reason I like a block, right, what I see a lot of times is people will take it with their hand on the floor. Left arm up. Is this worst case scenario? It's not a bad thing. The problem is it's just like a halfway lift. If I just come into a halfway lift with my fingertips on the floor, the only thing working is my upper back along the spine. So it's like, why not be more efficient? Why not strengthen the entire chain? So in a halfway lift, what would I do? I'm going to come up higher so my low back is working simultaneously with my upper back. Same thing in half moon, right? Or revolved half moon. If I'm here, my upper back is working and it's building nice strength, right? But if I come up on a block, right, just like I would in my halfway lift, or bring my hands to my shins, I'm getting my upper back, mid back, low back all working, and I'm actually able to twist a little bit deeper. Right, another reason for it, with the hand on the floor, there's a little bit of flattening to the low back, or for a lot of people there can be also a rounding of the low back. And one of the more vulnerable positions for the spine in a twist is when it is forward folding, so it's rounding, and there's some twist to it, right? So we want to make sure that the spine is long and that we are twisting with long extended spine, right? If you can do all of this without a block, right? So if you can maintain, if you're unsupported, and you can maintain level hips, long leg lifted up, left hand down, right arm up, right, and roll the rib cage open. This is a perfectly fine spot to do it. But what I find is I can't twist quite as deep as when I have my hand on a block. So it's just kind of what works for you. Try it out, right? I always recommend, right? A lot of people think blocks hinder your yoga practice. That is one of the most false statements or ideologies that you can even have in a yoga practice or in a yoga room, because all they do is they bring the floor to where you need it, right? I need the floor to be here so my shoulders can be in line with my hips while needing some support, right? I need this here to be supported. If I'm down here, I'm not getting the full benefit of the pose, right? My low back is not activated. I'm not able to find the length in my spine, and I can't twist quite as deep. So the block brings the floor to where you need it and allows you to take your practice further and find your full expression of the pose, right? There's never a full expression of the pose. It's your full expression, right? Because everybody's has different bodies. They have different abilities. They go to different depths, right? But it's your full expression. So try those out, right? But the key to it all, right? Don't be afraid. Use a block, right? But the key that's going to just do everything for you is get that left hip or that lifted hip down in line with the right. Pull your right outer hip back, right? Because we tend to collapse here as we drop. So then it's pulling this right outer hip back, right arm up toward the ceiling, and then lift from your hamstring. So you lift the leg up to build the strength without rolling that hip back open. If you lift from the back, the leg goes up straight. If you start to incorporate other muscles, the hip rolls open, right? If you're like, for whatever reason, I don't have control of my hamstrings, right? I just don't get a feel for that. Come into Sphinx pose. Bring your awareness to the front of your hip points. And then from here, without changing the weight in your hip points, from the back of your right leg, right hamstring, lift your leg off the floor. Keep the leg straight. And just work this, right? Right leg down, left leg up. I'm trying not to increase the pressure in my hip points. The more you can practice this, right, of lifting from the back of your leg, the more revolved half moon, the hips are going to stay level. The more Dekasana airplane, hips are going to stay level. Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3, the more the hips are going to stay level. Anytime that hip rolls off, weight shifts out. We want to make sure that that weight stays over the inside part of your leg. So try these out, right? Use a block. Level your hips, right? Level your hips on top. First, adjust. Maybe start with a bent knee to give you more access to the hips, and then straighten out the leg. Lift from the back leg. Feel your hamstring and glute working. Reach your chest forward. Feel all the muscles along the spine working together. Ribs roll open first, then the right arm, right? A lot of times when people just take the right arm, it's the shoulder driving the car, and we want the rib cage to do all the driving, right? Try it out. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully one day you'll enjoy this pose as much as I do, because if it's thrown in the class, right, huge benefits to it. We already found it. Outer hip, outer hamstring, upper hamstring, strength and length. We got lifted leg, hamstring and glute. We got rotational components to the core. We got back strengthening, right? It's just a beautiful, wonderful pose that I hope everybody has the same love of it down the road. Have a good day. Try it out. Let me know what you think.